The Battle of Opis, September 539 BC, was a major engagement between the Persian army under Cyrus the Great and Neo-Babylonian Empire under Nabonidus during the Persian invasion of Mesopotamia. At that time, Babylonia was the last major power in Western Asia, not yet under Persian control. The battle took place at or near the strategic riverside town of Opis, north of the capital Babylon. The site of the battle was the city of Opis on the Tigris River, about 50 miles north of modern Baghdad. Opis was a place of considerable strategic importance. In addition to the river crossing, it was at one end of the middle wall, a fortified defensive barrier north of Babylonian that had been built decades earlier by Nebuchadnezzar. Control of Opis would enable Cyrus to branch the Median Wall and open the route to the capital. At the time of the Battle of Opis, Persia was the dominant power in the Near East. Open the route to the capital. At the time of the Battle of Opis, Persia was the dominant power in the Near East. The only remaining significant unconquered power in the Near East was the Neo-Babylonian Empire, which controlled Mesopotamia and subject states such as Syria, Judea, Phoenicia, and most of Arabia. It was closely associated with Cyrus' enemies elsewhere. The empire was formerly an ally of Croesus of Lydia, whose kingdom had been captured by the Persians a few years before the Babylonian invasion. During the war, Babylonia was in an unpredictable geographical situation. The Persian Empire was bounded in the north, east, and west by it. It suffered from severe economic problems due to plague and famine, and its king Nabonidus was considered unpopular among many of his subjects for his unorthodox religious policy. Cyrus' success was attributed to military intelligence, judicious bribery campaign throughout Babylonia, which portrayed him as a lenient and religiously tolerant lord. The Babylonian defeat at Opis seems to have ended any serious resistance to the Persian invasion. The Nabonidus Chronicle states that after the battle on the 14th day, Sippar was taken without a fight. Nabonidus escaped. The wording of the chronicle suggests that Nabonidus was present at Sippar when the Persian arrived. Cyrus remained at Sippar, and on the 16th day, Gubaru, the governor of Gutium, and the army of Cyrus entered Babylon without battle. Nabonidus himself was imprisoned shortly after his return to Babylon. His ultimate fate is unclear, but according to the 3rd century BC Babylonian historian Berosus, Nabonidus was spared and went into exile in Carmania, where he died a few years later. Persian troops took control of the city. Although the Nabonidus Chronicle details how this was done, the chronicle mentioned the victorious army protection of interruption at Isagila or other temples, and there was no date. 17 days later, on October 29, Cyrus himself entered Babylon, where he was proclaimed king, issued royal proclamation, and appointed governor of his newly conquered kingdom. By the 5th century BC, the city of Babylon was protected behind massive walls. The entire city was surrounded by two levels of walls, so that even if the first wall fell, the second wall could be used to stop the enemy. Between these two walls was a moat, which made it virtually impossible for the enemy to enter the city. Apart from this, there was a system of round-the-clock armed guard in the watchtower. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, these walls were 300 feet high, 80 feet wide, and spread 55 miles across. Beside the Euphrates River flow through the city. As a result, they did not have to worry about the supply of water during the blockade. Babylon was surrounded by walls. They also built gates at the entrance to the Euphrates River that ran through the city. But in the meantime, no additional defense have been put in the place. The soldiers of the city never expected that someone underwater would break the gate and attack their city. Besides, they did not think that anyone can hold their breath under the water for such a long time, and Cyrus attacked them from that very place. He arranged to change the course of the river by digging various canals around the river. As a result, the water level in the river goes down. Then the gates were seen. Then one night his soldiers secretly entered the city through the gap and opened the main gate. Then the army of Cyrus entered the city like a swarm of bees. It took some time for the Babylonian soldiers to understand the true situation. By the time they realized, it was too late, and as they were impressed in the state of the dancing, singing and drinking day and night. They could not resist in that way. They had to fight the army of Cyrus the Great. This is how Babylon was defeated by Cyrus the Great.